and subsequently officiate the launch of KL20.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. Yang berhormat Saudara Chang Likang, Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Yang berhormat Dato' Haji Hanifah Hajar Taib, Deputy Minister of Economy, Yang berhormat Dato' Haji Muhammad Yusuf Aftal, Deputy Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Secretary Generals from all the ministries that have been working on this, from the Ministry of Economy, we were supposed to have Dato' Saifuddin from Home Affairs, but we also have leadership from Home Affairs Ministry, from MOSTI, from MITI, and also Dato' Rosie, KSU, Kementerian Digital, representatives of the ecosystem, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for being here at the very last minute notice, because we've had a few changes here and there, but I requested to the team that we cannot postpone it anymore, because by next week we all shut down Israel. 1 week before Raya, everyone will shut down, and then KL20 is about 10 days after Raya, so we really don't have the time, we have to do it. The good thing is that I never thought that Parliament, a banquet hall, is actually better than any hotel's ballroom, without any fee being charged to us. Ladies and gentlemen, in less than 4 weeks' time, Malaysia will be launching a one-of-a-kind regional startup conference called KL20. It is part of our ambition to catapult Kuala Lumpur as a top 20 startup ecosystem in the world and become the gateway to innovation in Southeast Asia. KL20 itself is a 2-day event scheduled for 22nd and 23rd April and will be held at the Kuala Lumpur Convention Centre. It will gather an unprecedented mix of global sovereign wealth funds, leading venture capitalists, international startups and incubators. And compared to what we've had before in Malaysia, we paid particular attention in working with the sovereign funds and venture capital firms, because that's, I think, one area that we can improve tremendously. Unless we resolve the issue about funding of startups in this country, then there will always be a chicken and egg question about the ecosystem. So I'm excited to share that I think we will see a lot of announcements of startups and sovereign wealth funds at KL20. With over 1,000 attendees anticipated, KL20 will feature an exciting speaker lineup from all corners of the globe. The likes of Dr. Chi Bin of CIC, China Sovereign Wealth Fund, C.K. Seng of the chip semiconductor startup, and Jenny Lee of GGV Capital are just a few of our headline names. It must be stressed, however, that such figures do not take time out of their busy schedules just to come to Kuala Lumpur and speak at the conference for no reason. I've met them and spoke to them. You know, you always think that those who are familiar with startups, it's all about pitching. I never thought that when you become a minister, I still have to do pitches. So we've been talking to them. I think they are excited, but most importantly is that we have gone through that discussion with the stakeholders of the ecosystem for the last almost 1 year to curate the policy and the programs under KL20 so that there are compelling offerings to the ecosystem players that set KL20 apart from the past. For the first time, the Prime Minister, Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, will launch an action paper, KL20 action paper, which outlines over 20 plus transformative reforms that we hope will jumpstart the ecosystem in Kuala Lumpur in order for us to move up towards the top 20 ecosystem globally. We hope the radical initiatives which we curating will build the startup pipeline from 3 perspectives. From the funders' perspective, investors' perspective, from the founders' perspective, and also from the talents' perspectives. And the agencies within the government's ecosystem have been brought together, and I think all of us have our work cut out to make sure that we focus on these perspectives. We line up programs and policies for the funders and for the venture capital firms, also for the founders, and as importantly to make sure that we can develop the kind of pipelines of talents that we need for our ambition. I know that we are inundated with documents and action plans, so I usually will be the last one to cheer for any new document. You know, we have a lot of blueprints, so I would like to assure our friends in the startup ecosystem that we hope that this is not just any guiding document, but it's meant to be implemented. Just like how we build any tech products, it's going to be iterative. This is just the first set that we release, and as we go through this process, we will iterate it. But we want to make sure that it's not just announcements. KL20 will feature a series of blockbuster deals. That's why it took us almost a year, and the timeline had been moved from Q3. I think we started, you know, in 2023, and then I think we moved it to January 2024, and then finally it will happen in April 2024, beginning of Q2. Not so much because of the difficulty in getting the documents and policies done, but because we want to make sure that at KL20, actions will happen. When we talk about sovereign funds will be there, and they put the money. When we talk about venture capitalists, when we talk about semiconductor and high-value tech firms from around the world, we want them to be there to announce their next plan in Malaysia. So, inshallah, we will be seeing a launch of a growth fund of some amount, which, you know, by Malaysian standard, I think it will be more significant than what we have seen before. The arrival of several international venture capital firms setting offices in Malaysia, as well as unicorns establishing R&D facilities here, setting up their engineering units and their regional headquarters here. In short, we want to show that KL20 is, well, it's action. It's not just talk, and it's just not a series of document papers. And our hope is that with the speakers, the action paper, the deals, and much more, KL20 will generate a buzz amongst not just our community here, but the startup community across the region. By attracting these disruptors into our ecosystem, we want to drive Malaysia up the value chain and demonstrate our ability to compete with the very best. I've mentioned this before. We pivoted slightly differently in terms of our strategy. Instead of just focusing on so-called homegrown startups and chasing some unicorns, that was the policy of the past, we want to create a top ecosystem where startup founders from around the world actually come here. Because whether you are a founder from KL or Jakarta or Mumbai or Seoul, if you bring your startup here, develop your startup here, at the end of the day, the beneficiary are basically Malaysian talents and Malaysian economy. And KL20 will set up a plan to pivot towards that strategy, which is very much moving away from startup focus to ecosystem focus. And finally, we hope that with the launch of KL20 by Yang Perdana Menteri, is going to be our simple message to the rest of the world, which is Malaysia is open for business in digital and tech. If you want to be a part of that journey and contribute, I suggest you register on the KL20 website at kl20.gov.my. And so far, with our engagements with participants, speakers, VC firms, and other startup founders, we hope to have significant participation from regional and international players as well. With that, thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing all of you again in KLCC. We have about 4 weeks to pull it off, and this is very much to all the agencies who have been working very hard for this. And I hope with all your hard work, we have seen some glimpse of early success, because the interest that we have garnered so far from participants was an endorsement of what our respective agencies and ministries are doing. What's left to us now is to bring KL20 and the plan to the world, and I'm sure if everything goes well, you will see KL20 in 2025, KL20 in 2026 onwards. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Menteri. And of course, number one, we may now proceed right in front of our launch pad over here. And I'd like to, of course, invite Tuan Chang Lika, as well as Deputy Ministers, to join in for this moment right here. So we're not going to be on the launch pad yet, because that is the actual gimmick. So, how it works is, I am going to do a countdown in 3, 2, 1, and then you will take a step on the launch pad. So with that, members of the media, I hope that everyone will be ready for this moment right here. And you just take one step forward. Very simple movement. So, Yang Ministers, are you ready? With that, on my count, in 3, 2, 1. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, the KL20 soft launch is now officially launched today. So make sure to register your interest here today by visiting www.kl20.gov.my. So ladies and gentlemen, with that marks the first step towards making Malaysia a global startup hub. We're now going to present the iPads for our ministers here today to take for the photo op. So this is for the media, yeah? And we have a beautiful logo placed there for KL20 here today. So, Yamot ministers, let's just look forward right here with the biggest smiles to all of our members of the media here today. And sliding up a bit. Perfect. I don't believe we can do a thumbs up because it's quite huge. Do you want to try? Alright. Oh yeah, we can. Okay, 3, 2, 1, thumbs up. Let's give a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. So we have completed our soft launch here today. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say thank you so much to all of our guests here today. But for members of the media and to all of our ministers, I'd like to kindly ask you to remain for the press conference that we'll be having here today. And to all of our guests, you may now adjourn, but for members of the media, you may remain for this press conference. Again, we'd like to once again thank everyone for being a part of today's historical moment here today. And today we'll be going down in history as a significant milestone, laying a foundation for a vibrant and exciting startup ecosystem in Malaysia. So again, on behalf of KL20 Summit 2024, I'd like to thank everyone for being here today and for joining us. And we hope to see you during KL20 Summit 2024 in April. So I'd like to invite our ministers to take their seats. And to all of our Secretary Generals that are present as well, you may also be here. Support for our ministers here today. So members of the media, you can now place your microphones, if you have some, to record this moment right here. As we have to be quick for the next session of Parliament here today. Alright, so microphones can be placed. Kita balik dulu. Oh, nak ke belakang sikit? Okay. Can we get the chairs to be placed slightly backwards because angles? Okay. Thank you, Ron. Okay, so please your microphones, everyone. To members of the media, thank you so much. Okay, so just a kind reminder to all members of the media. Firstly, we are quite rushing. Second is because I want you to stick to questions for KL20 Summit only, for now. And I am going to pass the floor to, of course, the Menteri Rafizi to maybe start off with a few statements before we commence the Q&A with the members of the media.
So, do you want to say anything? Yeah. You want to take up my slide? Lepas ni semua launch buat dekat Parlimen. It's free, because it's free. Because we had to change last minute. Because ingat kan, nak kena semua ada kat sini nak kereta you kan. Dah tak jadi. Jadi. Tu kena tarik ni. Kesian kan. Ya, memang pun sih. Ini shift together. You don't want that. Yang VIP ya. More and more events. Tapi itulah the challenge for most team. It's actually that. It's very much to create the hype kan. because while the more important work is actually doing the policy, kata mega trends semua juga. Who knows? Unless you go down and pukul gendak ke bawah, follow through. And that's where the budget is. Okay lah. Well, we still have to wait for the ring. This is to wake up MP yang tidur. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. Thank you very much. We will be having a one-of-a-kind regional tech startup conference in about 4 weeks' time, 22nd and 23rd. April. When I say it's one of a kind, it's because we paid a lot of care to make sure that we involve stakeholders from all the three groups of the ecosystem, from the finances, which are the sovereign wealth funds, the venture capital firms, and there will be a series of plans on the part of the government on that, likewise on the founders and as well as the talent. So the build up towards KL20 and eventually the launch of KL20 is a work of collaboration between the key ministries that deals with startup and tech and semiconductor and chips. That includes Ministry of Economy, Menteri, Kementerian Digital, MITI, and MOF, and all the agencies. I think there are about 20 plus agencies. We've been together for the last almost 1 year, and a lot of new policies and programs will be unveiled at KL20. So maybe I pass to America.
Okay, thank you, Rafizi, and very good evening to everyone. In fact, this KL20 is a national agenda that we want to put Malaysia in as the top 20 startup hub in the world. So we have several interesting initiatives that we are going to launch, including a single window initiative, where all the startups, even investors or talent, they can go to that single window to access to all the entire ecosystem. So, well, I would say KL20 will be a very interesting initiative, and we hope we can attract more VCs and also startups to join us in Malaysia. And we are eyeing by 2030 we'll be on the top 20 of the startup list, list. And we hope it can also contribute to another, on top of what we have now, maybe another 2,500 to 3,000 startups in Malaysia. So I think that's all. Thank you.
Questions? Batuk question? Questions? Kalau saya batuk, ikan yang mau.
So we're going to open the floor for questions here today. If anyone has a question, you can raise your hand. We're going to pass the mic to you so you can ask a question. Please do also tell us which publication are you from before addressing the question. Silakan.
Bidang, soal pun nak hilang. Hang on. Should be fine. You see, every time we talk about startups, we cannot run away from what are the so-called verticals flavor of the moment. Kan? Jadi kalau tengok kepada bidang-bidang yang menjadi tumpuan pelaburan syarikat modal teroka, VC firms and sovereign wealth fund, dia ada beberapa yang utama sekarang. Pertama sudah tentu AI. Kedua ialah advanced E&E, advanced semiconductor. Ketiga adalah energy transition. Selain daripada itu sudah tentu kita ada vertical biasalah yang kita kenal dengan agri-tech contohnya, kemudian digital product. Jadi untuk KL20 setakat ini minat daripada pelabur adalah dalam bidang-bidang utama yang disebut tadi. Sebab itu kalau kita tengok kepada speakers, panelis dan tokoh-tokoh yang terucap, they represent these verticals. We will have ecosystem leaders from energy transition, from advanced E&E, from this is bad. And likewise, we will have firms that have been building portfolios in those verticals as well. Soalan ni? Kali pertama. Sebelum ini, Malaysia memang sudah ada beberapa penganjuran ataupun simposium atau conference. Cuma penekanan KL20 ni agak berbeza kerana dia lebih bersifat, pertamanya lebih bersifat antarabangsa. Dan kenapa kita perlu bersifat lebih antarabangsa? Satunya ialah kerana kita perlu pastikan bahawa ia bukan persidangan semata-mata, ia menjadi tumpuan pelabur-pelabur. So you can have a tech conference, but if the attendees do not represent, especially the funders, then we will still have a problem because the ecosystem cannot grow. You may have a lot of interest from the public, from startup founders, but without the capital. Jadi ia kali pertama dirancang dan dibangunkan sedemikian rupa kerana kita nak menemukan 3 pemegang taruh yang besar. Dan kalau saya ingat perbezaan utama KL20, KL20 berbanding dengan yang kita pernah buat sebelum ini adalah kita akan ada penyertaan yang besar dan pengumuman-pengumuman besar, terutamanya daripada kumpulan venture capital and sovereign funds. Itu memberi isyarat yang besar kepada startup founders di seluruh dunia bahawa kerajaan Malaysia telah berjaya mendapat minat daripada pelabur-pelabur dalam bidang digital tech. Jadi kalau pelabur-pelabur ini yang mengawal dana beratus-ratus bilion dolar berminat untuk mula membuka pejabat, terlibat dan melabur di Malaysia, itu memberi gambaran bahawa ekosistem kita itu adalah satu ekosistem yang rancak, yang seterusnya akan menarik lebih ramai startup founders dan juga pakat-pakat tech daripada seluruh dunia yang akan datang ke Malaysia.
Why is it important to leave KL into the rank of top 20 global startup by 2030? And we are now at what rank?
Officially we are like 40 plus. 40 plus lah. 47. Sebab tu kita above 40 tu kita dah tak kira dah 7 ke apa. We officially we are about 47 now. The reason why moving up and becoming a tech hub for this region and also for the world
is very important and crucial is because we need to move up the value chain. We know that we have to change from a low-cost, labor-intensive and resource-abundant economy towards one that is based on innovation, that is based on value creation, and that is based on tech. And that can only happen if we have the right talents and the right financing and the right people and the right ethos for such services and products. And around the world, businesses that thrive on innovations usually revolve around the digital and tech ecosystem. And that's why we want to pivot instead of just looking inwards and asking ourselves how many local startups can we produce. We have even a higher ambition. We want international startups, even unicorns that were founded elsewhere, to come and relocate to Malaysia, come to Malaysia, because that will then increase the level of high value, high growth and high-tech content in our economy. For the public, obviously, if our economic activity shift from one that is based on commodity, one that is based on low labor costs, towards something like that, it means creation of high-paying and high-value jobs in the future. Ika? No. Ada soalan lagi?
Any more questions?
Otherwise kita boleh berbuka. Pukul 7, not now. Boleh buka pukul 7. Any questions? Kalau tak ada, thank you very much. Terima kasih. I think we will take the next 4 weeks to build the momentum. We spent the last 6-7 months building the momentum overseas. So that's why I think we will see a high level of overseas participation. Now the next 4 weeks is for us to drum up the support and interest from the local interests. And with that, I think in 3 to 4 weeks time, when PM launches KL20, that we will be able to put Malaysia on a higher pedestal in the same way that we have done with the energy transition last year. We went through the same process last year. We engaged the stakeholders, launched an action plan, a national energy transition roadmap. It brought the interest, and then the respective sectors and ministry focus on it, and we hope to be able to replicate the same for digital, tech, advanced E&E and semiconductor chips. Thank you very much.
Maybe before we end this session, I just want to add a little bit, because looking at this KL20 is not just another event. It's not like a one-off event. After that, then we are just business as usual. But if you look at this KL20 event, we are bringing all the stakeholders of this entire ecosystem to be here. We want everyone to be here so that we can link everybody up, and so that our ecosystem will be more complete. So this is the aim of having this KL20. And just to reiterate, it's not just another event, because we are looking at a very holistic approach, so that everyone can play their role. And from the list of speakers, you can see that we have tractions. People are willing to come. People see our potential. So that is why the government is very keen to push for this agenda.
Thank you very much. Selamat Hari Raya. I'll see you at KL20 in about 3 weeks from now. And you can bring the whole kampung with you. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Again, thank you so much to the mock ministers, Dr. Rafizi as well as Dr. Ramli. And with that, that is the end of our event today. We hope to see you again. Yes, you are present here today. Thank you so much. So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, as well, we will then see you again on 22nd and 23rd of April during the official launch, is that 22nd, KL20 Summit.